Um, Hello everyone. Welcome to my podcast sort of video that I apparently do once every like 6 months, even though I mean to do one once every like week. Um, Whatever. It is what it is. We're back. I hope all of you are doing well. And this podcast is specifically going to be about the upcoming 2020 Worlds. Now, you might be wondering to yourself, hey, dot number one, I seen your insane, nasty, sick challenger level plays on your YouTube and on your Twitch over at, twitch.tv/dot number one. Prime's here. But what rank actually are you? Like what gives you the right to talk about 2020 Worlds, like how, I don't know, like how a pro player would, or how like a coach would? What gives you specifically the right? And my answer is my First Amendment freedom of speech rights. Is freedom of speech the First Amendment? I think it is. My freedom of speech rights, because I am Pislow. Hence why we are going to be calling this podcast moving forward. I like the Pislow podcast, or like the Low Elo podcast, something like that. We'll work it out by the time this video is uploaded. And that's because me and anybody else that will be on this podcast will most likely be Platinum or lower. I am Plat 4 right now, for example, and the guest that I have on for today is actually, I believe, Gold 4 right now, or Gold 3, something like that. Yeah. So I just thought it'd be interesting to talk about what me and others around my Elo might think about like certain things in the pro scene, or certain things about balance, or other random things about League that I know like most people won't give too much attention to or too much credit towards, because we are only like gold to plat level. But you always see challengers and high diamonds talking about like, whatever they want to talk about the game state. And for a lot of viewers who are not diamond plus, because that is a small amount of the player base, we just wanted to give maybe something that's a little more relatable, or maybe some things that we think differently. Of course, our opinions could always be incorrect, because we're not at the same skill level or at the same elo as these people. But it's just the opinions of some lower elo people and what they think about different things. Hopefully you guys find this interesting. And so like I was saying, today's guest on the podcast is somebody that is very close to my elo, and his name is Leo. He was actually on the first podcast, the only podcast video that I've ever done. Not a single person commented on the video. It's fine, it's cool. So I'm presuming you guys like him. So yeah, Leo, go ahead and introduce yourself.
I have zero right to be talking about this. Not even the First Amendment right, but you know what? It's okay.
Nice. Is that your introduction? Is that how you're gonna introduce yourself?
Yes.
Okay, here. State your name, your League of Legends rank, your main, what you do, why you're here.
Well, my name is Leo. I think you already said that. IGN, Pleiades with a 1, because it's already taken.
Fuck! My stream alerts are on.
Oh no.
Alright, it's fine. Just give it's okay.
Oh no.
It's fine. You know what? We're gonna ignore the sub.
We're gonna
ignore the sub, alright?
Let's get it.
We're gonna ignore the sub. Keep going.
Currently gold 4, because I suck at this game, but I do have like a 55% win rate, which is nice. What is there anything else to say? League is cool, I guess.
Yeah,
Big
I guess that's it.
Since season 4, yeah.
Alright, well, so today, with Worlds upcoming, the group draw just happened, I think, yesterday or 2 days ago, and we both saw it. We both took a look at all of the things, and we both have our own respective thoughts. So I like having Leo on to talk about League of Legends things, because he watches a lot of NALCS. I watch a little bit of NALCS, but I mostly only watch like LS co-streams, and I don't really watch like other kind of stuff. The thing I mostly focus on is LCK. So I thought with our two different sort of experiences with two different regions and moving into worlds, which is obviously the sort of combination of that, I thought it would be interesting to talk about, predictions for worlds, what we think is going to be happening, certain decisions made by certain organizations. So yeah, hopefully that's interesting. And yeah, so the first thing that I want to sort of talk about, I guess, is the LCS and the state of the LCS after the playoffs, which I know Leo and I both watched. So let's start with you, Leo. What were your general thoughts about the LCS? You can talk about the spring and the summer split, but basically for this year and the playoffs and what the results mean.
Do we even want to talk about spring? Because
maybe we don't talk about
it was
spring.
Kind of just
Yeah, but the relevant information from spring. Like obviously you can't talk about the. Yeah.
I'd say from spring would just be Cloud9, right? Because they destroyed spring, came into summer. They were 9-0 in the first half, and then just bombed out.
Right.
But overall, I'd say it's just kind of messy. Like I think like FlyQuest Cloud9, we saw FlyQuest do a lot of level 1 stuff, a lot of early game stuff.
Yeah.
And we did not see any of that against TSM, so I don't know if they just think they can't do that against TSM, or it was just different jungle pattern or whatever, because I honestly probably don't know enough about the game about that. But they're just doing one thing and versus one team, and they're doing something else that's like completely different and versus another team.
I mean, maybe they thought changing strategies for different teams was the way to do it. Either way, it clearly didn't work out.
Yeah, it clearly didn't work out if they lost, and they did.
Yeah. So Cloud9 has made the move to remove their head coach of a long time now, Reaper. And Leo and I actually had a long discussion about this the other day. About what that means. So what do you think, Leo?
I think we had roughly the same idea, but we're coming from two different directions.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, why don't you go ahead and explain what what it was about?
Because my thought process was basically they had this freaking, I wouldn't even call them a super team exactly, but all the players were good, and they were fucking destroying spring, and they were 9-0 in summer. Like everybody knows this, right? And then it just falls apart. And at least from what I know from interviews with ex-players like Sven Skjern, Reaper, when the team's super far ahead in the standings, tends to start focusing on other stuff like that Wukong and Yuumi bot lane we're seeing. And while it's not exactly like a bad idea to start experimenting and stuff to change up drafts, they don't keep up with current meta. And then what ends up happening is they either can't play around meta picks, or they have to ban stuff out that they haven't been practicing or whatever. And then it just falls apart. Everything falls apart. They lose a game. Players start tilting. They don't have any players like Sneaky or whatever that can keep morale up, or just start memeing around if they start losing, right? Like Vulcan and Sven, they're obviously like supercharged. They're here to win. They want to do all that. I can't really speak for the other players. At least I know Niski, when he's ahead, he does emote a lot, and then once he starts falling behind, he completely stops emoting. Right. So that's all I have to go off of. But my theory right now is that the team is kind of prone to tilt,
right,
when they're not like ahead, and it just falls apart. And obviously I say that a lot of the fault for practice, in my opinion, does fall on Reaper, because he does dictate a lot of the behind the scenes that goes on and draft. But obviously there is some stuff on the players for obviously not performing in game. So
right,
that's my thought. But I think obviously something behind the scenes must have went down between Jack and Reaper,
right,
since Reaper was signed until 2022 and he just got fired after this split.
Yeah, so Leo and I were talking about this for a while, and like you said, I think we were both saying very similar things, but from two very different angles. Him and I both agreed that the fault is both, on the players, on the coach, on the organization. Wherever the fault is, it should be spread. Everybody had something to do with the fall of C9. But, because obviously there's going to be, back, behind the scenes stuff that we don't know about. But my angle going into this was much less on the coach, but more on the players. Because So Rebird has a long history of, getting to Worlds, qualifying through group stages, and, being very dominant. Now, you can argue that the reason Cloud9 got out of groups every time and was like NA's, always quote-unquote NA's hope at Worlds is because they had easy groups. Sure, you can argue that. But the fact of the matter is, across, they still did better than any other NA team did, even like our NA super teams, back when we had them. So there's some skill there. And what I most wanted to focus on is when the initial roster changed from the 2019, I think it was, Cloud9 to the 2020 Cloud9. Basically, I think, if I remember correctly, they swapped Sneaky for Sven. They swapped out
Zazel
for Vulcan, and they swapped out Svenskeren for Blabber. And then I think mid and top were the same, right?
Yeah, they stay.
So everybody, I can barely think. I don't really think there was anybody that was very comfortable, or that was actually comfortable with that swap. You can argue, and I was talking to Leo about this the other day. You can argue that, like, okay, Vulcan is the best, resident NA support, right? But
at least going to that year,
right?
He was,
but
yeah.
Coming off of 2019, Zazel didn't look bad. He qualified for Worlds and played well at Worlds. Despite being a rookie, despite it being his rookie split, Sven inted that.
It was 2018. Yeah,
this is 20. Was it 2018? 2019?
We're talking 2018 now. 2018 was the semifinals year.
Oh, okay. So maybe I missed that year. My bad. So 2019. Either way, Zazel really didn't look that bad, if I'm remembering correctly. Like, he wasn't the problem. Sven came off of. Wasn't that the year he hard inted TSM? Team Liquid C9, Game 5 on Ezreal or whatever.
It was TSM TL.
Yeah.
In Spring. What happened was, like, honestly. Yeah, people talk about that, but he was doing really well in the 4 games before that. But he did int that really hard.
Yeah, so either way, Sven's coming off of an underperformance. We can say that. He's coming off of an underperformance of a year. Meanwhile, fucking Sneaky, it's Sneaky. He is this, like, fan favorite character who's always been generally very stable. And when Sneaky was kicked, even citing motivation issues, if I remember correctly, Doublelift said that. I think it was at that time. Doublelift still said that Sneaky was still very good, but whatever, right? Jungle Svenskeren was the player of the split, right? I'm pretty
MVP,
sure he was the player of the split, the MVP.
Split,
yeah. And they swap him out for Blabber, who's like a complete rookie. So
I wouldn't say complete, because Blabber has. Actually, wait.
I don't think he. I don't remember.
No. That was
Blabber.
after his rookie year. That was after his rookie year. Yeah. So that would be a second year of fully playing in LCS.
So C9 arguably goes down in skill, and I remember watching videos of people like, these decisions are interesting. It's crazy that Reaper is
I remember
doing
people
this.
hard flaming them for swapping sneak outs for Sven, and then they destroyed what was it?
TL?
Was it? No. Then they destroyed Spring Split this year.
Yeah.
And then they stopped talking about it, but now it's coming back.
Yeah. So the 2020 Spring, right, was a huge, like, testing platform for this new C9. And we see Reaper going into it fucking hard, right? And Cloud9 is they're fucking untouchable in Spring, right? And then even in Summer, they were untouchable for the first half. And then they just take a shit. And so that's why I understand where Leah's coming from, right? Like, you should be keeping up with the meta, or, even if you're not necessarily playing it, you should be keeping up with it, taking a look at counters to it, rather than doing this weird shit that he was doing with the, Sona Lux, or the Wukong Yumi, or the, Wukong Senna. But the difference is, I think that, right, because Reaper is coming off of this period where he's shown that he can stand the meta, and he's shown that he can top it. So I think it's within his rights, and it's actually something that he should do, to push the meta by making changes in the draft by doing these sorts of crazy things. So, for example, Sona Lux, I actually don't think that's that bad. I think it's very unkillable, very akin to
Did they play Sona Lux?
They did. They played Sona Lux.
Because I didn't remember.
And I think it's actually nuts, right? Like it's very akin.
No, the shielding's real cancer. You just gotta get out of laning phase.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's akin to the fucking old Sona.
It's like Sona Taric.
Sona Taric, yeah.
Yeah. Where you just hope you live through your laning phase. You don't get like 5-man Dove.
And then you just 1v9 or 2v fucking 8 the game. So there's that. And like even like the Senna Wukong, right? You think about it in theory, and it's very interesting, right? So Senna anything was meta at the time. Fasting Senna, right? Senna Nautilus, Senna Tom. Like so the Wukong. What's the difference between Wukong and Tom or Wukong and Nautilus? Well, Wukong has a bigger engage, like bigger, even easier engage, right? Tom Kench can't really engage. Nautilus can engage, but it's mostly single target. And the enemy team has to fuck up if they're gonna get hit by a 5-man or 4-man fucking ult, you know? On the other hand, Wukong has a very easy time getting those fat ults, right? So, Senna Wukong makes sense. I understand why he did it. In my opinion, it is the players that couldn't perform to the standard of the draft. You can argue that if you see the team clearly collapsing when you're doing this, that you should switch. That's a fine argument to make. I'm not really going to debate that, and I don't really want to talk about like this sort of thing too much longer.
But if I recall correctly,
I think it's on the players. Sorry,
I know they did win a few games with it though. The Wukong Senna. Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. I don't think kicking Reaper, who is the man that got you to Worlds and did all these great things, I don't think that was the right play. You could like maybe demote him from head coach so that somebody else has more of a say or somebody else has more of a power. I don't know, but I don't know. I don't know how I feel.
Yeah, but it's just something happened. Yeah. But we don't exactly know.
I think the only other thing I wanted to mention is, I say this now, there's a chance always, of course, that next year C9 ends up popping off without Reaper.
You just never know.
But we never know, right? That could always Reaper may not be the problem, even if C9 pops off next year, because the players are going to be the same
roster. Yeah.
And they might just be more motivated off of kicking someone that like they're scapegoating Reaper. So I just want to say that even if C9 pops off next year, it's not necessarily the coach's fault.
Yeah.
But all right, let's move on from that, right?
Yeah,
Interestingly enough, a very similar
talk about
thing.
Other coaching?
Yeah, a very similar thing
on the
occurred
other side of the world.
in the LCK. Now, this is where my
you know more about it. I only know surface level stuff.
So, in the LCK, legendary team SKT, now rebranded to T1.
Tyler 1 bought out the team, by the way.
Yeah, Tyler 1 bought out the team.
Yeah.
But the legendary T1 got it. Okay, so at the end of last year, right? So okay, basically, a little bit of stuff for T1, right?
Context.
2016 Worlds, SKT win. You know, it's fantastic. Well done to SKT. 2017 Worlds, SKT is like fucking. It is stressful to watch SKT games. Like, it's not like the old SKT where you see SKT's name pop up and you're like, all right, it's GG. Like, it's done. Like, Faker's gonna fucking destroy everyone. You know, fucking, you know, Bangi is here. You know, Faker's right-hand man. You got fucking Marin. You got fucking Bang and Wolf, who are the most consistent, like, late-game team fight monsters, right? It's like, yo, fucking SKT is where it's at. No. 2017 SKT was stressful as fuck to watch.
They barely made finals, yo.
They barely made finals.
Yeah.
There was the RNG versus.
They still made finals.
They did, but
it was.
You know, for SKT,
it didn't look good. Like, bot lane didn't look too good. Peanut wasn't doing too hot. Hooney's fucking coin flipping wrong. Sometimes, right? We don't know. He's coin flipping.
It's just like.
And Faker's just trying his ass off to carry this corpse of a team to another world.
To another fucking dimension, dude. Like, it's like, okay, fucking, it's like Faker is like an angel you know, trying to fucking like bring his 4 other teammates to heaven, you know? But the other 4 teammates are fucking refusing to go to church and read the Bible. He is like fucking the other 4 people are having fucking like vigorous sex. Like,
bro, they're like they're committing adultery.
Yeah, they're breaking all 10 of the commandments here. All right, it's like thou shalt not coin flip. Hoonie's like absolutely fucking not. I am coin flipping. You know, fucking Bang is like I'm gonna bang your mom. You know, Wolf like it's
Bang's
just
like
it's
I'm gonna
just
jump
bad.
into the enemy team as just Stan and
It's just
Polo
bad.
Cody's son. Like
Yeah.
it was so bad.
That shit was a fucking mess. All right, 2017.
And then you make it to finals, yeah.
No, well, I mean, hold
And
on.
then-
Let me suck Faker's dick a little bit
No.
more.
Alright,
Everybody
okay.
talks. Everybody talks about 2015, 2013 Faker, and don't get me wrong, he was a beast, you know. But I have so much
It takes
respect.
a special kind of man too.
Yeah, I have so much respect
Drag
for
that T.
2017 Faker. His Galio performance in that RNG game is the greatest thing I have ever seen in my fucking life. Like, and I feel like everybody knows that Faker's performance at 2017 Worlds was really good, but like nobody acknowledges it within his like, or nobody seems to bring it up within like his top like plays
Just
of all time.
because the team didn't shine.
Yeah, I guess. And I mean, Faker himself wasn't on like, if I remember correctly, I don't think. I guess
He wasn't on carry
Galio
chat.
is-
He was on like semi roaming, more supported.
I can't remember. I guess.
Or I remember because I remember the Galio a lot.
Yeah.
They were playing that.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything else from that year. It's been a while, but
I mean, I don't know. I guess Galio isn't the most hype champ, you know. But like,
it really isn't.
if you look at that performance and you see everything Faker did and him running those 5 straight Galio games, right? That shit, like, Faker was so good on Galio. It was such an insane series. And watching that series and seeing Faker, like, lift his team from, like, the dredges, the 9th circle of hell, up to heaven with him. He fucking cleansed them. Like, that was beautiful to watch, right? So, okay, there's that, right? And then they lose in finals, and it, you know, you see Faker crying, and it was awful. 2018
Yeah,
Worlds, or not Worlds, but like 2018 SKT. Like, who the fuck remembers 2018 SKT?
No, we don't.
Nobody
that's,
does.
That's
We don't
Agent,
talk about that.
That's Agent 612, yeah. That
Yeah,
year?
we don't talk
Agent-
about
Agent
2018.
It was 612, right?
I don't.
Was that the number?
Yeah, 612 with on his Kled. or
Was it
whatever.
Agent 6 number? It was like a carry jungle. Blank was playing a carry jungle. He did 600 total damage in the entire game. It was some
Was that
low number. It
2018?
was
Well,
a few
either
hundred.
way, all I remember is SKT.
I'm pretty sure that was 2018.
Well, but SKT wasn't at Worlds 2018.
No, they didn't. They didn't make it.
So you're
Yeah.
talking about a different game? Yeah, I don't remember. Anyways,
I was talking about 2018.
2018, we don't talk about 2018
Five,
SKT.
six, something
That
like
was
that.
like the worst year. Even in like Faker's like 2,000 kills video that's like on YouTube or whatever.
Okay,
from
we're
the
starting to
SKT.
derail a little bit. We were talking about
Yeah.
right.
We were talking about coaches.
go back
Anyways,
to it,
yeah, so going into the relevant stuff. So 2019 SKT was SKT's rebrand. This was supposed to be the year that SKT destroyed everyone again. You had Faker in the mid lane, right? He looked motivated, especially because the last 2 years had been a failure in his in terms of his
Yeah.
achievements. In the top lane, you have fucking Khan from Longzhu. The Longzhu that destroyed SKT. The legendary Longzhu, right? In the jungle...
Monologue for a second. I'm gonna grab a Sprite.
Alright, sure. In the jungle, you had fucking... who the fuck was in the jungle? Oh, you had Clyde. Clyde was a
Clyde.
beast. Well, I mean, all the Koreans call him Clyde. So Clyde was a complete fucking beast, right? In the ADC role, you have fucking Teddy, who's a legend. And in support, you have Mata, who's also a legend. This is supposed to be the team that brings SKT back to number 1. Then at MSI, they lose to G2, and then at Worlds, they lose to G2. Coma ends up leaving after that.
If I remember correctly, he left because he didn't want to deal with the stress anymore.
Yeah,
and
but-
he went off to Vici Gaming and
He went on Vici in
LPL.
China. Yeah, and I mean,
Yeah.
I followed some Vici, and they're
Apparently-
middle of the pack. So
Yeah, they're middle of the pack because their players honestly weren't that great. But from what I heard, he took them from a bottom tier team to like a mid tier team in like a couple of splits, which
Daddy Coma
is
Bell.
pretty good. Yeah.
Anyways, so then they swap in Coach Kim. Now, Coach Kim has a long history. I believe he was on the IG that won Worlds.
He was
in
on the IG that
2018.
won, and he was
on
off of
Damwon.
the rookie Damwon.
Yeah, he was on Damwon in 2019 and brought them 2 Worlds, right? So yeah, he has a bit of a good history, right? And Damwon in
But
2019.
there's something up with him, cause did he get kicked off Damwon? Cause I know he got kicked off of IG.
I don't know if he got kicked off Damwon, but what I do know is they swapped.
Did he
Zephyr.
leave like right before World? It was around Worlds, yeah. Then that he left and went to IG. Or is it? Am I tripping?
I don't know.
Because IG won in
2018.
Oh no, IG was 2018. Okay,
Yeah,
never mind.
2019.
He was on
Damwon.
IG. He left. He went to Damwon in 2019, I believe.
Yeah, and brought the rookie Damwon to Worlds. Now, Damwon in 2019 was like, okay, Damwon was a very good team in 2019, from what I remember correctly.
They were scrim gods. That's what I remember.
Yeah,
Like they were smashing
the
like
scrim
every
gods.
team
Yeah.
in scrims. Like didn't matter who you were.
But they couldn't translate that to stage, and a lot of people like to call it like rookie nerves or just like nerves in general.
I mean,
these guys
it's
were
not
young.
uncommon, you know.
But like, you know, they couldn't. I believe in 2019 they ended middle of the pack, or at some point they ended in like middle of the pack, and
Didn't they still make Worlds though?
eventually they made.
That
I
must
know
have
they
been
made
spring,
Worlds
yeah.
at the end of 2019, but at Worlds I don't think they
Yeah.
really showed up. They lost to G2, right? So
I mean, they got out groups what, second or something? Did they get out group? They
yeah,
did.
no,
Yeah.
they got in groups, but then they lost to G2
Yeah.
in the whatever.
Oh, quarters and.
So in 2020, Coach Kim comes to T1 with high expectations. They actually win the spring split, which, I mean, in a pretty good fashion. Now, spring split T1 was kind of interesting because they were good, but like a lot of the problems that ended up showing in summer split T1 seem to stem from 2019 spring T1. But because of just like pure skill level by the players, and then like on top of that, like the way that people seem to collapse in playoffs, T1 were able to get away with it. So they win in playoffs, but then they go to the mid-season cup, which is between China and Korea, and T1 get demolished. I believe they beat Damwon, but they get, oh no, did they beat FPX? I think they beat FPX, but then they lost to Damwon and they lost to TDS.
I don't remember. Yeah.
Something like that. And T1 is like, okay, that is the beginning of the end for them. Summer split comes around and they lose to Hanwha. And I just remember Hanwha Esports, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly.
I remember
at
they
the
sucked.
end of that split, they were like 1 and something, with their only win, I think, was against T1. I'm pretty sure they lost every other game. It was something fucking ridiculous. And T1 did not look consistent. Now, don't get me wrong. T1 were in 4th place, and the top 4 of Korea were basically a hard top 4. It was like in Pokemon. LS always compares it to this. In Pokemon, they were the Elite,
Four,
It
and
was
then everybody
Damwon
else
number
was
1.
non-existent.
Yeah, it was basically Damwon was the champion. Fucking Damwon was
Wait,
trainer
wait.
red. And then you
Then
have...
you need 5 teams for that. Elite 4 plus champion.
Oh, who gives a fuck? Afrika can be in there, I guess. No, but like, it's like Damwon is like number 1, and then you just have DRX, Gen G, and T1 basically fighting and contesting the next 3 spots, except T1 generally looked weaker than the other 2. And, except DRX, but Gen G looked to be about 2nd, and DRX, T1 looked to be fighting for 3rd. And then you have Afrika, who's like, they're so good at beating the lower teams, like the east side teams, but they can't fucking beat the top 4. So they're not even like,
So
they're not really
gatekeepers,
included.
basically.
Yeah. You notice in summer that T1's drafts are the most awful, disgusting garbage you have ever seen in your life. And yet T1 are winning these games off of pure skill. It is the most insane thing. Using the worst drafts, they are turning the games around at states that should never be turned, like never be able to be turned around.
Now, this is what I've heard just from random like Reddit threads or whatever, right?
Yeah.
I know Coach Kim were low key flaming the players, but not. I don't want to get too into it because I don't have all the details.
During the split?
Do you know about that? Like, yeah.
Well, yeah,
Like they
you
would
see...
lose at, like the draft, and he'll be like, "Oh, they're just not good enough to play or whatever," right?
Oh, I don't know that.
Because that's what I heard from interviews.
I know in the
I don't have
locker
all the
room, like their series, the T1 locker room. There are clips of Coach Kim going like, I think he goes to the players and he's like, you should be able to play at any time or whatever, and like any champion at any time or something like that. I don't know, but it's too hard to extrapolate from that.
From just a couple.
I mean, the point is, the drafts were the most garbage, awful piece of shit you've ever seen in your life, and T1 would win games against teams with drafts that they had no right to win. And then around the middle of the split, you see that sort of like collapse a bit, and T1 starts losing the games that like against like lower teams. I think it was around when they lost the Dynamics that Faker is benched, and Faker is swapped out for Closer, who is a monster, by the way. I think Closer is like the new like BDD Chovy Faker that is coming in,
or old Faker,
yeah, because in the games against the lower tier teams, he looked like old Faker. He would get 5-man bans or like banned and fucking like camped during the mid game, and he would live and he would like pop off, right? So Closer looked insane, but it was only against the lower tier teams. So here's my problem with Coach Kim, and this is the reason why I'm willing to put more blame on Coach Kim than I am on Reaper, and it's because of the weird decisions that end up happening that should be attributed to the coach, and that continue to happen even with these whack results. So, for example, Closer is played against, I believe it was Damwon, and DRX.
Okay.
This is before playoffs, which are two very... So the way T1's schedule in second half looked is they had easy teams at the start, and then they had like a death week. It was just all the top teams at the end. Faker is swapped out for Closer during the easy weeks at the start, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that, especially if you're considering
you get your rookie experience.
Yeah, especially if you're considering using Closer in playoffs. But then in fucking at the end of the split, if you're gonna be using it, like, this is playoffs. This is your world's qualification. You have to win this, or you have to do well enough in this to qualify for Worlds. And I think what maybe might have happened, I don't fucking know, is maybe Coach Kim got so, like, cocky in a different sense than, like, what Reaper might have. Like, because they won the spring split, they had all the championship points. Literally, T1 had a free path to Worlds. It was so free for them. But they lost so many times in playoffs that they ended up not qualifying, and I don't know. Maybe Coach Kim got super cocky or something.
Because I know they sub like everybody out.
Yeah. Why are you playing Closer instead of Faker in those last few weeks? Okay, you know what? Sure. Let's say you want to give Closer some experience, or you want to see how he does against those top tier teams, right? In Korea, it's a best of 3 up until playoffs, right? So just use him for one game and swap Faker in. Why are you running Game 2 against Damwon with Closer? Or I know you swapped in Faker for I think it was Game 2 against DRX, but you guys ended up losing that anyways, and then you swapped Closer back in for Game 3, right? And then I think they still lost to DRX. If I remember that correctly, I think they still lost to DRX.
You have like no time to build team synergy if you're just going to be swapping players back and forth. Like,
right. And I mean, okay, admittedly, in the comms that I watched, right, the players seem a little bit more alive, and there was some, like, hidden controversy about, like, oh, Effort hates Faker, or, like, certain players hate Faker. But that just doesn't seem to be the case.
I mean,
when you watch the games, you see them, like, chatting and, like, having a good time. I don't know. Or not during the games, like, after the games.
Like Faker, unless you're, like, just living in his shadow.
Yeah. So, I don't understand those decisions that were being made. And then again, the drafts continue to be absolutely horrible. And then in playoffs, I think Game 1 against Afrika, they played Closer. And then Game 2 against Afrika, they played Faker, and they won that using his Twisted Fate. And then Game 3 against Afrika, they lost, and with Faker. And so it's like, okay, if you had given more time to build synergy, if you had worked on the problems instead of just trying to shove the problems by putting in Closer, if you had maybe just changed your drafts so that you could have better champions, things like the Twisted Fate. I think Twisted Fate was banned Game 3, but, like, things akin to that sort of thing. Like, Why can't you just adapt to Faker, especially if you know that you're going to be playing him at Worlds and playing him for the rest of playoffs, for the important matches at playoffs? Because closer, let's face it, you're not going to play this rookie at Worlds, other than like random games you might try to give him experience on. If your goal is to give him experience, you've done that. Wait until next season during the spring split, which doesn't fucking matter,
right?
And then give him his time to shine in spring split
from the start.
Exactly,
so they can build synergy, and he can get all the experience.
Exactly, you gave him his taste of experience in summer. That's fine. Wait until spring. Why are you doing this at Worlds? Like, this doesn't make sense. And then fucking in playoffs they switch out Teddy for Guma Yusi. Now again, don't get me wrong. Guma is fantastic.
They're
this guy
both
is
fantastic
great.
players. Yeah.
But I was saying this to Leo, actually. I was watching the playoffs game, the regional qualifiers, live. The one against Afrika and against Genji. And I told this to Leo after the Afrika game ended. Guma looks great. But he only looks great when he gets Lane Kingdom. When he doesn't get Lane Kingdom, he just sort of looks whatever. And I'm referencing, I think T1 beat Afrika 3-1, if I'm remembering correctly. But I think
Something
they
like
dropped
that.
the game. Either that...
It was a Draven game where he just didn't get to cash in that time.
And he didn't... Like, he just didn't look that good. Or, I mean, he looked okay, but he didn't look fantastic outside of that.
Admittedly, Draven kind of doesn't really do anything if you're not ahead on him.
But Draven does counter Kalista. So it shouldn't have been that impossible to get ahead in lane.
But it didn't happen. But
it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know. Oh, he did cash in during one team fight though. And he should. I mean, you saw that he was very threatening around the end of mid game, but it's just like, I don't know. It seems more like the champion than him. Also,
like,
Teddy plays Draven.
At that point,
yeah.
It was kind of.
And I told Leo, I don't know if Guma can hold up against Genji, because I don't think he looks
Genji
great.
has like the best bot lane, right?
Yeah.
In Korea right now, yeah.
Yeah. Or well, yeah.
Or
honestly,
arguably,
yeah.
right?
I think they're better than Damwon Spotlight, in my opinion. But I was like, I don't think
that one's just a lot more topside oriented, really. So
yeah, mid top.
Yeah.
So I was like, listen, I don't think Guma should be played against Genji, because I don't think Guma can hold his own. I like, he just doesn't look good from playing from even or behind. Sure enough, they get destroyed by Genji. And it's like, Guma didn't look like he could do anything. Faker actually 1v9 playoffs. Even if you just watch the highlights from the games, you'll see a lot of the plays that Faker made that like literally kept them in games, and yet they lost. And I think it's because, well, first of all, Kana shit the bed. Kana looked horrible. Kana up against okay, you can say Kana struggled against Keen, and that's fine, because Keen is like supposedly better than him, right? Nuguri and Keen are supposed to be number 1 and 2 in Korea, but Kana is supposed to be number 3, and Rascal is not. And Kana had been, if I remember correctly, Kana had been destroying Rascal in like previous games, in games before playoffs, and yet Kana picks Renekton fucking every single time and gets completely destroyed. And it's like, what the fuck is happening with Kana? And at the same time, Guma can't pop off, and he looks useless from even and behind. So it's like, okay, you have Teddy, man. This guy gets so much CS every game, even when he's even or behind. And on top of that, he's able to make plays, stay alive, do different things. Like, why in the fuck are you playing Guma over Teddy? As soon as you go up against the big dog that is, Genji, right? And if you beat Genji, you go to Worlds. So what the fuck are you doing? Effort also looked really weird getting picked at certain spots. Like, the whole team just didn't look coordinated. Faker looked like he was trying to fucking 1v9 carry the game. Fucking not Lily, Elm looked alright, I guess. The Elm Cuz swap looked alright. I guess maybe for synergy between Kana and Elm, whatever. But, like, even that, like, was a little weird. Just all these substitutions that Coach Kim was making were really weird, and his drafts were awful. So I think him getting kicked is really good. I really like this. Now, I was actually one of the people that defended Coach Kim when they swapped out Faker. T1 players actually got death threats or not players, but like the T1 organization and staff got death threats or whatever when they swapped Faker.
Like I remember they threatened to sue everybody who were sending threats.
Yeah, but like I was on the defense for Kim swapping out Faker for Closer because Closer looked
it's really
insane.
not the end of the world. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, also, Closer's performance was better than Faker's, right? But
well, at least at
the time,
those games,
yeah. But once you go up against the better teams and you know you're going to be playing Faker, put Faker back in, man. I don't
like he has the experience, he has the game knowledge. He's a clutch factor, right?
Yeah.
Like you know this guy will perform. You don't know if Closer's going to pop off or you're just going to be non-existent, but you know Faker's always going to be having a presence.
Yeah. So I don't know. Anyways, that. I think I spent like 20-something minutes.
You spent so long, but at the end of the day, Coach Kim getting kicked right at this point is good.
Yeah, it's a big decision. All right, the last thing I want to talk about is Worlds and our predictions going into it. So I want to let Leo give his, since I've been talking for a long time just now. I want to let Leo give his thoughts on Worlds, and then I'll talk about it, and then we'll go at it.
Every group is obvious except for Group C, and I think that's the general consensus with the community, right?
Why don't you give your predictions?
Group A. Okay, so I'll just list all the groups for now.
Yeah.
Group A, we have G2, Suning, Machi, and a play-ins team, right?
Yeah.
Fair assumption that play-ins team is not advancing.
Yeah.
Also fair assumption that Machi is not advancing over Suning and G2.
Yeah.
So Suning and G2 are getting out.
Yeah.
Which one's first, which one's second, we don't know. Like G2 does weird shit in best of ones. Yeah. Suning has a Vietnamese jungler. You know how G2 does against Vietnamese players, right? Yeah. So, but like these two are getting out. Side note about Suning though, they have Sword Art from LMS or what used to be LMS, and he was the best support there. So I remember somewhat following Sword Art. I didn't follow him in China, but like I don't know, something about that guy I like. And then the jungle is SOFM, who is arguably like one of the best junglers to come out of Vietnam. So so definitely the jungle's talking. Oh no. But like Suning, people do I don't want to say underrate because people do agree that this team is fucking talented.
Yeah.
But they're a clear step underneath JDG and TES, and that's what we can all agree on.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Group B, we have JD, Damwon, and Rogue. That's absolutely rip Rogue and rip whoever play-ins team is coming into this group. JDG and Damwon are the clear favorites, right?
Yeah.
So hopefully none of them choke.
Yeah.
Which one's first, which one's second? I do not have a prediction for that. Like it's one of those things where you gotta see them play.
Yeah.
Because it's just too hard to tell. Because JDG and TES. I know JDG is the second seed out of China.
Yeah.
But I know they beat TES in spring in a 5-game series.
Yeah.
And summer finals also went to 5 games. So it's a fair assumption to rate these two more evenly rather than be like, oh, TS is like clearly better or whatever because they're coming in first seed.
Yeah.
That's just not the case at all.
All right. Skip Group C because I know that's the
let's skip Group C. Yeah, because that's it's just a mess in that group right now. Group D, TES, Dragon X, FlyQuest, whoever playing team, right?
Yeah, rest in peace, Fly.
Rest in peace, FlyQuest, and whoever playing teams.
Fly's getting fucking swatted.
The only way anyone of FlyQuest or a playing team will get out is if Chovy can't 1v9 on Dragon X right now.
Yeah.
And even then, like, I know Deft has been having back problems and all that, but, like, it's not like their players aren't untalented or anything. Like, they're all still good players. It just happens to be the Chovy show right now, and I think they should still be good enough to be better than whoever playing teams coming in and FlyQuest. And TES we don't even need to talk about. They're one of the tournament favorites.
Yeah. All right, so I'll just give a very brief. I'll just give a very, very brief overview, and then we'll move on to Group C. So Group A, I basically agree with you 100%. I don't even need to talk about that. Group B, same thing. Actually, I don't even know why I'm giving this overview.
They're all the
Group
same,
B,
right? It's all so obvious right now.
Group D, I want to talk about just a little bit, just because.
Is it the DRX situation?
DRX situation. So DRX is basically known as the team with enough individual skill to basically beat anyone, but that never end up doing so because they do weird shit during the games and basically bank on early game leads in order to pull it off. So like all of these players in DRX, basically they hard lane gap everyone, and then during mid game, mid and late game, they rely on Chovy to make an insane play that only works if they're ahead and if Chovy is like a monster.
So what I'm hearing right now is that they're the absolute pinnacle of our 5 solo queue Randys.
Exactly.
A win lane, lose game. That's what I'm hearing.
Exactly. And LS was talking about this. T1 got very unlucky because Gen G. So Gen G's style is more draft for late game and just scale.
Yeah.
And BDD is one of the like faker types where he is one of the best like mid late game players where he's just capable of making these plays consistently. So when you're so Dom 1 is clearly a tier above everyone else, but when you're matching Gen G against DRX, which they played in playoffs, Gen G should have beaten DRX every time. Like it's just like DRX maybe should have won like one game and lost 3-1. But Gen G somehow lost to DRX. Even though again, Gen G had no right losing. Like DRX had no right winning. But Gen G lost to DRX even though Gen G looked to be the better team by far and go into play-ins. And then T1 goes up against Gen G. Had T1 gone up against DRX, which was the likely scenario, T1 probably would have won. Even though they were having shit drafts and like the players seemed to be choking, they have enough team cohesion and Faker was like insane enough during playoffs that that T1 probably would have been able to top DRX, especially with DRX's current form. Because they went up against the more scaling and stable Gen G, they just couldn't break the barrier that they used to be able to break with their random like late game hero team fights. So my thoughts on DRX going into this is I think DRX does have actually the potential to beat even TES. I think DRX is an insane team, but I don't think it's gonna happen. It'll likely not happen. I think Deft is gonna tilt. Chovy is gonna not be able to 1v9.
But now the question is, DRX should be able to beat play-ins and FlyQuest.
Yes,
but
consistently.
There is a world where if all this shit goes wrong, one of the other two teams might advance.
There's no way. There's no
like, you think the skill gap is just big enough, though?
Skill gap,
even with all the stuff going around.
Like, Chovy's mid is so much better than Power of Evil and, like, any other play-in mid. And also, fucking Deft, even if he's having problems, like, he's still one of the best ADCs. He can basically solo 1v2 a lane if he has to against a fucking NA or play-in team. So, and Pioshik is alright, I guess. Who's their top? I can't remember. I'm blanking.
Doran.
Oh, right.
I remember Doran wasn't doing too hot.
No.
Doran.
I think, like, I just think all of these players can like, easily just gap the other two teams, like in solo queue. But I think they're going to have a problem once they get against top esports. Okay, that's just all I want to say.
So fair assumption right now is that they're still going to be going out second.
Yeah. All right. So Group C is the last group, probably the last thing we're going to talk about today, but the last group that we need to talk about, and that's because
this is the wild card group because what the fuck's going on here, right? Like.
So go ahead and give your thoughts, Leo.
My thoughts is TSM right now, arguably weakest of the three.
Yeah.
But as a TSM fanboy, I am legally obligated to. So.
Sorry, you cut off.
I'm gonna put.
What did you say?
As a TSM
you
fanboy,
actually cut off.
I am legally obligated to have them advancing out of groups.
Okay.
So, I am gonna put them second, but this is very tentative and probably not gonna happen. Just to say that. First, it's either. Obviously gonna be either Gen G or Fnatic, right? Like, we're assuming Plains team coming in for this group is LGD from China.
Yeah.
Because that's the only team. If we're assuming.
Yeah.
Correctly. The LGD is the only team that can slide into this group.
Yeah.
So LGD, I don't know too much about. I do know they have Peanut.
Yeah.
Admittedly, I just don't know much about that team. There are 4 C out of China. I know they're a clear step underneath Suning and the other two.
Yeah.
But I'm pointing out Suning here because Suning is a step under the other two, and then they're a step under Suning. So that's how the ranking in China works right now.
Yeah.
If I were to choose a team to get out first, though, I want to say Gen G. Because they seem like. No, I'm gonna say Gen G for now because they're the most stable team
Yeah.
out of probably all the teams coming into this group.
Yeah.
So as long as nothing too crazy happens, I can see Genji making it out.
If we remember, I believe Genji was the only Korean team to make it out of the group stage in the mid-season cup.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't talk about previous worlds Genji.
No, we don't talk about that.
that world's never happened.
No.
For Genji. No. But this Genji should be making it out.
Yeah.
Number 2 right now, I'm not gonna focus on LGD yet until we see them play, and obviously by that time, like, predictions go out the window because you already saw the teams play.
Yeah.
But so I'm just gonna talk about Fnatic and TSM. I already told Daniel this. I think these two teams are closer than people think.
Yeah.
But stylistically, Fnatic does match up a lot better versus TSM.
Yeah.
Versus any other group. TSM probably could have drew in this group.
Yeah.
Because I believe the other group they could have got was DRX and Rogue.
Yeah.
And in that group, I'm fairly certain that TSM matches up probably a little bit better versus DRX and Genji.
Yeah.
And then Rogue is, their third seed coming out of Europe. I'm fairly confident in TSM's ability to beat them, but like, I mean, I don't know. European teams can surprise you.
Yeah.
As we've seen in the past. But
yeah.
Obviously that draw would have been better, but we ended up with Fnatic Genji.
Yeah.
So I think in the most likely scenario would be Genji and Fnatic, especially week 2 Fnatic. They're like, what, 15-1 in week 2 at Worlds?
Yeah.
Their week 1 sucks ass, but they get their shit together for week 2 consistently.
Yeah.
Like over all the iterations. So I'm not gonna count that out. Like, I'm gonna say, like, in a realistic world, Fnatic's getting out in number 2.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna say TSM for the sake of it, because TSM, right?
Yeah. And I think I generally have to agree. Like.
And that's the likely scenario.
Yeah.
But I would not be surprised to see it different. Like, I'm not gonna beat around the bush on that. Like, I would not be surprised to see any combination out of this group getting out.
Yeah, I mean, I was like, Leo and I were talking about this the other day as well.
Like, I'm changing it up a little bit because Fnatic does have more team cohesion than I thought they did have. But like,
yeah, we were talking about the
stylistically too. Like, it just doesn't work out as well for TSM.
Yeah, we were talking about the TSM Fnatic matchup. I don't know. I just think it's like when I just think about the two teams against each other, right? So TSM were having all of these team problems before playoffs and even moving into early playoffs, right? And then they got their shit together.
I just want to say that watching TSM has been really fun.
Yeah, I agree.
It was fun, yeah.
The games don't get me wrong, the games were awful. The games were some of the games in there were kind of awful.
Like, it was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then, like, even Spico was doing so bad on Olaf. He literally told like Parth, like, hey, stop drafting this champ for me. Like, get me off this champ.
Yeah.
So they picked Shen for him because Spico's like, I like playing this champ. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like TSM looked completely broken.
They were complete garbage for the first like 2 playoff games.
Moving into
because. What, like that? They got 3-0'd by GGS, and everybody was like, "What the hell just happened?" Yeah. They just fell apart.
And then out of nowhere, they get their
3-0
shit
Dig.
Yeah.
But we don't talk about that series because nobody remembers that series. Like,
fuck about Dig.
Like, what happened? Like, yeah, that series never happened.
Yeah.
Like, no
one
remembers.
By the way, Dig, sponsor me. Sorry, moving on.
And then they got their shit together they didn't really get their shit together, but they were looking a lot better than before when they put Frost back in for that second GGS.
Yeah. And
for a second, they almost got 3-0'd again, which would have been like an absolute disaster.
Yeah.
But as we all know, it didn't happen. Their first seed, they're at Worlds now.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
They've only gone up since then, so it's just. I think right now it's just like we've seen Fnatic, we've seen Genji.
Yeah.
It's just how much is TSM going to improve at this Chinese boot camp, basically.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think if they show what they've shown in playoffs, they're probably going to be 3rd.
Yeah.
But if they keep improving, I would not be surprised to see them get out.
I mean,
but that's just me though.
Yeah, because TSM out of nowhere got their shit together, and then every single series after like the last, they looked better and better. Because, like, you think about it, right? You 3-2 Golden Guardians. You
think about it, they played more playoff games than they did in regulars. They played, like, 25 playoff games.
Yeah, it's like, you
something crazy, like, 20-something games. It was... Yeah.
That's a lot of team cohesion.
They played more games in playoffs and regular season combined than like most Korean teams, and
Yeah.
Korean teams did best of threes. So
Yeah,
that
it's
says
just, like,
something.
I don't know. That's yeah. Like if you're like,
Like the amount of practice they got was actually insane in these best of 5.
yeah, because I mean, if you're 5 gaming GG or you're 5 gaming C9 or you're 5 gaming,
They're 5-game
TL,
they 5-game 4 BO5s.
yeah.
And
What-
then the other 2 were 3-game ones.
Well, basically, what that means
so they played
is,
26 games. Yeah.
yeah. What that means is you're improving at each stage, because if you're
Basically.
5 gaming, that means that you're about equivalent to the other person.
Bro, what if TSM just plays to the level of the enemy team?
Don't even pretend. They're gonna get shit stomped by Genji. Don't even try.
Imagine.
No,
though.
they're gonna get shit stomped. Let's not lie.
No. Imagine though. There's a world where this happens.
There is no
and-
world where this happens. Like, there's none. Sorry. It's just like
Let a man dream.
it's like yeah. So clearly TSM are improving, because if they're 5 gaming each team, that means that they're improving against each team as they're moving forward.
As they're going, yeah.
As they're moving forward. So the question is, how much more of that can they retain, moving into groups and moving into even like potentially moving into quarters, right? And I think that it's not going to be enough, because Bjergsen was like
Bjergsen's playing the best League of
carry
Legends and like
NA has ever seen.
in the last like fucking like how many years he's been like
Yeah.
it's been so long since he's been hard carrying
Yeah.
like this hard.
The last time I remember Bjergsen carrying this hard was like fucking the
Arguably
Super Team
2016,
TSM.
but
yeah.
that was like super team, right?
That was,
This
like-
isn't super
yeah.
team TSM. Like he had a team around him to back him up on that plays. He didn't have a team like that for like half this season.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
So-
just like, I think the problem is Bjergsen's fantastic league is going to continue. I think it's going to continue. Let's not lie.
Don't get me-
We're going to
yeah,
see
like,
pop-off
Bjergsen-
moments.
Just he has the work ethic. He's got the talent. Like he's gonna be at the top.
And
for
he's
a
not
little
from
bit.
NA, and that's what's most important. But we're gonna see him pop off against teams like Fnatic and Genji, I think, and whoever the play-in team
Yeah,
is, right? But
yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be enough the same way that it was in NA.
It's not gonna offset the rest of the map.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying.
Spica, I'm sorry to all you people that think Spica is good or he has potential, right? But, and I also think he has potential.
Like, I'm
But
not stressing
Spica
out
is
too much
going to
about
get
Spica.
gapped. No. I am stressed about Spica more than anybody else.
No, I'm not stressed about his performance because
Or actually, I guess
like
Spica's the
we're
one
not
I'm second most
expecting
stressed
Spica
about.
to hard carry these games or anything.
Yeah.
Like I feel like most TSM fans would agree with me here, where we're not expecting like BB and Spica to just come in and smash like top side or wherever, top 2v2. Because they're both Worlds rookies, and Spica's like a rookie too, so they're here for the experience. I think the veterans are a little bit more stressed about these games.
No, I mean,
But-
okay, no. Here's my problem, right? Okay, so Bjergsen is gonna have pop-off moments, but his performance isn't gonna be enough to carry them alone. Doublelift,
But
I
yeah.
think, is coming back into form. His Senna looks really clean. His Ashe and Caitlyn, I don't know about his Caitlyn. His Ashe looks a little dirty. Let's be honest. I don't think it's that good.
His case not bad.
But-
I just don't think we've seen enough games on it because he's
Yeah.
been spamming Senna in all these games.
I think, okay, Doublelift Senna is looking really good, although Senna is
Yeah.
getting nerfed moving into Worlds. I don't think it's enough to stop him from picking Senna, but Doublelift Senna looks pretty
think-
good. And
I think he
also,
still has some mechanics for
Yeah.
stuff. It's just
It's not a bot side
he's got to
anymore.
practice them more. He's not
Yeah.
gonna pull out like fucking whatever, right? In group stages like that, he hasn't practiced out too much on. Like they're gonna have to.
yeah.
Where am I going with this? Like it's gonna be something he's practiced, and he definitely still has mechanics to be at the top. It's just, is he not gonna do those? It's just his decision making. Like, is he gonna walk into a Fed Victor? Like, you know what I mean, right? Like he has some mechanics. It's just, is he using his brain at the right time?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's set Genji aside, right? Because Genji's gonna shit stomp the other two.
We think, we know Genji is most
Yeah.
likely probably gonna get out because they're the most consistent team in this group.
Purely talking about Fnatic versus TSM. Again, I think Bjergsen and Nemesis are about equal. If we're talking in terms of like
But Beer is a lot more proactive than Nemesis.
Yeah.
Is
So
all I'm gonna say. Like
I-
he makes stuff happen a lot more around the map.
yeah. So I think Bjergsen and Nemesis are about equal. I think that Nemesis is better in terms of like in terms of being that like unit that like is part of the cohesion of a team.
Nemesis is the guy who's not gonna smash lane for you, but he's not gonna lose lane for you.
Yeah. But
Yeah,
Bjergsen, I think, has the opportunity to carry more than Nemesis does.
I think the way TSM wins here, if Bjergsen just plays second jungler.
Yeah, basically. I think that I think BB and Bwipo are going to be about even. Honestly, I think Bwipo is a bit better than BB. I think
But he also has all that experience from previous rows and stuff.
Well, because the experience, but also Bwipo seems to be in like pretty alright form right now. And on top of that, Bwipo also, I think, just generally does really well against NA. And BB is going to be like... BB is known as like...
most other regions generally do well against NA, let's be real here.
I mean, China got shit on by NA. If you remember fucking MSI.
C9 did 3-0 Freak, I mean...
But, it's just like... I know BB is known as like one of the most pop-off top laners at NA. I don't think he's gonna get the chance.
It's not like he can't play tanks.
Yeah, but I don't think he's gonna get the chance. Not against these teams. Bwipo is going to be able to punish BB for his mistakes, and he's going to be able to match him. And honestly, I think he might even solo kill him. Like, I think Bwipo has an advantage over BB. Again, Nemesis and Bjerg are about even. I think Bjerg has a little more potential to carry.
I think they're gonna be even in lane, but Bjerg's gonna make more stuff happen around the map.
Yeah,
that's what I'm predicting.
In the bot lane, I think Doublelift and Bio are gonna get rolled by Reckless, Hilly. Not because I think Doublelift is bad. Hilly.
Well,
we keep saying that, right? It depends on Hilly. Is he gonna int? We keep saying that.
Is it Hilly int or fucking Hilly? I don't know.
No. But the problem is, Biofrost is the worst support I've ever seen in my life this season. Okay, let's not sugarcoat it. Biofrost tried his best.
For me right now, I think he, like, his Rakan's fucking clean. Like, but like, if you don't have him on Rakan, it gets a lot more iffy. And that's like, you know, putting it up there. Like, I think his Rakan's one of the best in the world. Like, no cap. But if you have him on any other champ, it gets a little bit questionable.
I mean, okay, I agree with you, but here's the problem, right? Rakan is not a meta champion.
I mean, it doesn't have to be meta for you to play it.
Well, yes, but Rakan is not a meta champion. So, Bio can get away with playing Rakan at NA. But as soon as you go to Worlds and other people pick more meta stuff that can do more, or like, first of all, Bio's Rakan isn't going to be able to pop off as much if other teams draft around it. But okay, let's say that doesn't happen, right? Second of all, Rakan's not going to be able to do as much just because the other teams are going to be so much better. So it's going to be harder for Rakan to do as much. Third, Rakan's not meta. So if you pick a champion that is meta, then it's just going to be able to have the potential to do more than the Rakan is. And I think that the players at Worlds will be able to capitalize on that. So, and on top of that, of course, Rakan can always be banned.
But the question is, would you rather have Bio on a meta or on a Rakan?
Rakan, right?
Because he's going to be way better on that Rakan pick.
But the problem is, I think it's going to get punished. But
then you start getting into team comps and, you know, support champ diff. Yeah. Like, not support diff, support champ diff, you know, like...
I mean, there's also going to be a support diff, I think. But, I don't know, it's just like, when I think about the matchup between Reckless Hilly and Doublelift Bio, I think that everybody makes fun of Hilly inting, but I think that Biofrost is harder. Like, Biofrost is so bad. Biofrost is like the worst support I've ever seen in my life. He's just awful. And it hurts me to say this, because back in 2016, Biofrost was my favorite NA support. And even moving into 2020, or 2019, when I saw Biofrost was coming back, I was hyped, because I really like Biofrost. But I think in playoffs, Biofrost showed a form that was so bad that it left me concerned.
But you also have to remember that he was playing in Academy for most of that second split.
But you shouldn't be inting as hard as you did. Like, that's not an excuse to int as hard as you did in playoffs. So, I don't know. I just think that, like, as much as Hilly might int, Biofrost will int. And as much as Bio might do well on a champ like Rakan, Hilly will also match with like a Pyke or something, or he'll have his carry moments, you know. And I think the matchup between Doublelift and Reckless is kind of even. In the past, I would have given Doublelift the advantage, but Doublelift doesn't look as good as he used to.
No. It's just
because it's not a bot map.
ADCs have no agency anymore.
Yeah,
that's just really it.
Yeah,
like don't get me wrong, all ADC players are talented because that role is just carried by mechanics.
Not all ADC players did.
No, they're all talented. Like obviously they're gonna be better ADC players than others.
Yeah.
But like if you were to slot like shuffle ADC players around, like they're all gonna be there mechanically.
Yeah.
It's just how the team plays around the ADC's play style and how the ADC plays around their team.
Yeah.
That's the main difference.
Yeah. So ultimately, because I think that Doublelift isn't going to be able to pop off as much as he would like want to against, just because the meta's different. And because I think Bio's worse than Hilly, I think there's going to be a bot gap for Fnatic. I think there's going to be I think mid is going to be about even. You can't reliably give Bjerg.
You can't reliably
say. Yeah, exactly. You can't reliably gank a lane. So you can't reliably say.
Like you can go for it, but it's not always 100% unless you like know for sure, like, hey, they don't got flash and they don't have any escape tools and all that. And you're 3-manning with jungle.
Yeah. Or you can't reliably expect the player to make, like, you can't reliably call a player better than another one just because, like, you can hope that they'll
just because
make
they
more
roll
late game
more.
plays.
Yeah.
The exception to that is like Faker, because he does it every game somehow, like every important game somehow. But like even like a person like Chovy, he's known for lane gapping, right? Even though he makes insane out of lane plays, like he's known for lane gapping. And when he doesn't make those insane out of game plays, they just lose, right? So you can't call Bjergsen better than Nemesis just because Bjergsen is more capable of making these proactive agency plays. So I'm gonna say that mid lane is about even. But I do give a slight advantage. Like, if you were to force me to make a tiebreaker, I would give a slight advantage to Bjerg. But I don't think it's enough to offset the bot diff. Now, top lane, I give a very slight advantage to Bwipo. I think BB will be able to hold his own. Don't get me wrong. But I think BB won't be able to pop off.
But he's not going to smash lane or anything.
Yeah. I think Bwipo has a slight advantage. Jungle is my second most problematic role. I said this before. What's his name? Spica? First of all, can't hit smites, but second of all,
he was hitting smites in that last.
He had a few. I don't know.
I think he stole like back-to-back Dragon Soul.
Yeah, but like again, it's NA, dude. Like he was losing smite fights in NA, and then he finally hits a few smites in NA. Like imagine going up against fucking other teams. Like I don't know. But I mean, that's not the biggest problem. The problem is Spica's champ pool. What is Spica's champ pool? We saw him on Olaf, we saw him on Set, we saw him on Nidalee, we saw him on Shen. He looked awful on Olaf.
I feel like he's played a few more.
He looked awful on Set. So the only two champs
his
he looks
Set's not awful. At least I don't feel like it's awful.
Bro, in the games I watched him playing Set, he looked awful. And
I've seen him carry a lot of games on Set too.
Bro, also like I just like Set isn't as effective when people know how to play against Set. Set's a pretty bad champion. Like I just don't think that that Spica on Set is gonna be able to do anything.
I still think it depends on the account for that though, but that's just me.
Oh, the other two champions Spica does play, so Nidalee and Shen. He looks really good on those two. I'll admit that, right? He looks very good on those two champs.
Those are his pocket picks, yeah.
But that's a champ pool of 2. And Selfmade has a very big
don't get me wrong, he
champ
plays
pool.
Other champs too.
Well, yeah, but
he also has he put out even Skarner too. Like I'm not gonna say like he's gonna like carry games on those, but it's not like he can't play other champs.
I mean, okay, I'm gonna agree with you, but the problem is at Worlds.
The problem is Selfmade is probably gonna, and other junglers are gonna be better on picks too.
Yeah, at Worlds.
It's not like he can't play them. It's just that other people can play them better than he can.
Yeah, exactly. It's like at Worlds, being average on a champ means you're bad on the champ. Like, I feel like you have to be a god on a champ
when it comes to Worlds, yeah.
Yeah. So, it's like, Spica's champ pool is technically big if you consider it in NA. But, like, as soon as you go to Worlds, like, I think his champ pool is basically limited to his Nidalee and his Shen. If he doesn't get either of those two, he's just going to get chomped by the enemy team. And Fnatic's not uncoordinated, so they're going to be able to punish the jungle for mistakes. So it's like, I don't know if, like, Nidalee's in the meta, sure. Shen is coming into the meta, actually, ironically, I think because of because of that, his play on
playoff games.
But it's like, okay, let's say Shen gets banned, because that's reasonable. And let's say Nidalee is counterpicked, or Nidalee is picked, right? What's he going to do?
Picked away first pick,
Yeah, I think Spica's not going to be able to hold his own. I don't think he has enough experience and to know what to do.
Sure, I'm trying to remember what he's played, because I only remember the hella, like, carry games.
Yeah.
Which is Set, Nid, and Shen.
Yeah.
That straight to my, I know he's played a bunch of others, it's just I can't remember right now.
But I mean, okay, I'll give you that he looks good on Set, but I just don't think Set's a good champ.
No, like, Set can, it's not, like, wait. Like, I can agree with you and say, like, yeah, Set might not be the best champ right now, but I think when it comes to that point, you just give him comfort. Like, dude's a rookie, it's his first Worlds, get him something he's comfortable on, and just go from there. And then you can, I don't know, play around the pick.
I don't know. My problem is, like, if you pick something like Set, right, you're just gonna get counterpicked by a Graves, or you're gonna get counterpicked by a Karthus, or you're gonna get counterpicked by an Evelynn. So, if Selfmade can play those. So if Selfmade plays Karthus,
they're probably gonna ban Eve against Selfmade.
Okay, so let's say he plays like Karthus.
That's the assumption,
right?
Because Eve's, yeah.
If he plays Karthus, that's gonna get destroyed. Karthus just farms so much faster. Or Graves, right? If he picks Graves, Set's gonna get destroyed. And I've played this matchup a lot of times. Like, even in fucking Plat, like, if you pick Set and you go into, like, a Graves...
Too,
like, okay, in fucking Gold, right? You can play Set. I mean, I guess Plat 4 is not very different from Gold. But it's like, when I play jungle in low Gold, I can pick whatever the fuck I want. I shit stomp the other kids. But if I pick, like, Set into Graves, which happens a lot, more than you would think, like, even if I'm destroying the other jungler, right, like, even if I'm getting more ganks off, or, like, I'm like, just pure farming or something, and, like, I'm able to, like, farm up, back, get it back, hit drag, and like, gank or something, I'm always behind. Like, Set just doesn't clear as fast as Graves is, if the Graves knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know, I think he's gonna get destroyed. And it's a lot harder, I think, to get ganks off in Worlds, obviously, because everybody's playing at fucking 100% capacity. And you have everybody, like, fully focused, so it's just like, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be able to do it.
No.
Anyways, yeah, so that's why I think there is a chance for TSM to beat Fnatic and come out groups in second, but I think it's little
just
unreasonable.
Unlikely.
Yeah.
All
right, well, that's everything I wanted to talk about. Is there anything else you want to say about the groups?
Aside from me obligated to put TSM out of groups, not really. I agree with most of everything else.
Then let's give one final, and you don't really have to give your, just give a very brief reasoning before we end this podcast. Just who do you think is gonna win Worlds? Just give me your final guess.
Oh, so we're assuming all major region seeds are coming into playoffs, or no upsets?
No, you can assume upsets. Like it's just who you think is going to win Worlds.
I don't know. I was talking about planes. For Worlds,
same thing, right?
Overall?
Yeah.
Shit. Alright, I'm going to eliminate people who I don't think will win.
Okay.
That leaves me with G2.
Yeah.
JD.
Yeah.
TS.
Yeah.
Damwon.
Yeah.
Those 4. The hard part is narrowing down which one of those 4 is.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just go with gut feeling for now, and just say that first seed from China is gonna win, like the past 2 Worlds.
Okay.
And say TS. But I would not be surprised if any of the other 3 take it too.
Okay. Interesting.
So what about you?
I think it's going to come down to Damwon, TES, and G2. I don't think JD is going to be able to do it.
Well, keep in mind JD's just as good as TS.
Yeah, but
if
I think
anything,
TS...
just slightly worse, but they're about even.
But I think TS can do it. I mean, TS beat them in the important match, right? At the end.
Yeah, they beat them 3-2. It was close. Yeah.
So I think because of that, I think TS will be able to do it. So in terms of who will win Worlds, I think G2 is going to choke at the end. So I think it's going to come down to
Another
Damwon
3-0 finals?
TES.
Question mark?
Yeah. Now, here's my problem. Damwon is insane, and if they are at the form that they showed at LCK, I think Damwon will win Worlds. But Damwon is
But TES
known...
is better than the other Korean teams.
Yeah, no.
So
well,
it's like...
But that's not my issue. I think, well, because Damwon is like a league above the other... Like how TES is a league above the other Korean teams, Damwon is also a league above the other Korean teams. Now, if we consider MSC results, then TES will win. But Damwon's dominance came in during summer split. So, I think that if Damwon stays at the form that they were at when playoffs ended, Damwon will win Worlds, and it will go back to Korea. But Damwon is known for choking, right? Obviously, because or not like choking, but like nerves, right? They're never able to perform. Yeah, underperforming. They're never able to perform as they do in scrims. And I think once you hit Worlds, which is the most high pressure environment, and once you hit especially like finals or semifinals, which is like the most high pressure environment. That's when it's like, okay, are the scrim gods who have finally overcome the barrier to be able to play well in playoffs and in like normal LCK? Is their Worlds experience from last year, right, getting to quarters, is that enough to give them the confidence to play how they are doing now in semis and finals? If the answer is yes, Damwon is winning, I think. If the answer is no, I think TS is winning. And I think that's my final predictions. I think G2 is going to go out in semis, or G2 is going to go out in finals. But either way, I think G2 is going out. Also, G2's form is kind of questionable, so...
Yeah, their regular season was like...
Yeah.
But then you can argue that G2 doesn't try during regulars.
Yeah, I mean...
But they did look a little shaky.
Yeah. Okay, well,
but
that's everything.
Yeah.
Well, that's everything.
So we don't know.
That is the sort of pre-Worlds podcast. I'll do another podcast about Worlds. So my next podcast
after group stages question mark?
Yeah. So my next podcast won't be
to
about Worlds, but like I think the next podcast about Worlds will be after groups, and then
after groups, and then after the whole thing. I
want to do a pre-finals. So I'll do like
that'd be a good one.
So I'll do this is like the sort of prediction pre-Worlds one. We'll do one after groups, and we'll do one after
pre-playoffs and pre-finals.
Yeah, and then pre-playoffs, pre-finals. Yeah. We'll do that. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully that it will be interesting to someone. It's not like anybody watched the last podcast, but whatever. Maybe I'll just watch it to buff my own ego after Damwon win Worlds.
Shit, dude, we forgot the hot takes, dude. We need a hot takes to clickbait. I think Machi is gonna win Worlds.
I think FlyQuest is gonna win Worlds.
FlyQuest, dude, that's a hot take, dude. Maybe Machi isn't as big of a hot take.
FlyQuest wins Worlds? Question mark! Exclamation point!
I think no.
I think Unicorns of Love.
I think the Japanese team V3 Esports will win Worlds this year.
Will win Worlds
from the bottom of play-ins to finals. There we go.
That would be the fucking.
You heard it here
story.
First, boys.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. No, I think that INTZ Esports, who has int in their name,
from Brazil,
will win Worlds. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. We'll do another podcast. Like I said, I'm gonna try to do these weekly. If that doesn't end up happening, I'll try to do them bi-weekly. But I really want to do them
funny joke.
Weekly. Yeah. I don't know. Leo and I can never seem to match schedules, so.
No, it's more like you asked me to do this thing like the night before,
and
like wait, shit, I already
do this thing the night of.
The night of, like the afternoon of, and I'm like, wait, shit, I already promised our friends out today, so just let me know earlier, and yeah.
All right. That's it.
Hey, it's been fun. Yeah.
It's been
nice.
See you guys. Bye.
See ya.